stressed myself out so much that I eventually ended up suffering a cardiac arrest. It was like my body was like, dude, what the fuck? Give me a break. I've almost got killed twice. What can be worse than this? When life gives you a second chance, you take it. But when it gives you a third, you might as well make good use of it.
My guest today is Sharmin Ali. She's a 3-time founder who amazingly also has 3 exits, so perfect batting average. She's also the author of an upcoming book, Bitch, Stop Please. We dive quickly into why networking and confidence is everything, how she's almost died 3 times, 3 seems to be a lucky number for her, been semi-forced out of her own startup, gone through divorce, had her code stolen by a co-founder, and yet is still grinding today. As her book says, she probably should stop, but she simply cannot. She's an entrepreneur down to her bones. I'm Adam Spector, 4-time founder, investor in 200 plus startups, and CEO of Chore. We help founders outsource the busy work of back office operations so you can focus on your superpower and what will make you a true success. Let's dive in. Welcome to the next episode of the Entrepreneurial Excellence Podcast. It is with great pleasure that I have Sharmin Ali with me today. She is a complete badass of a founder. She has founded 3 different companies. All 3 have had successful exits. Her most recent one is PyPy AI, which kind of hot off the presses is actually basically finished being acquired right now. Sharmin also has a book coming out called Bitch, Stop Please, coming out in about a month, talking about like entrepreneur success, but also the challenges, ups and downs, and what it means to be a founder in today's world, and probably just the challenges emotionally that you run into, but also what it means to be successful, right? Very few founders build one company that gets acquired, let alone basically, it seems like you hit 100% batting average. Every company you found gets acquired. Either way, so we have lots to talk about. How have you done that? Why have you done it? What does that look like? What has that meant emotionally for you to have this sort of level of success on that side of things? You're also an immigrant founder. And for those watching, right, Sharmin's in New York right now, has an American flag behind her, land of the free, all that other stuff. But she's from India originally. What does that all mean? How has it changed your perspective, made it better or worse? You name it. What does that look like as a founder, and what pushes her? So Sharmin, it's such a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Good. Why don't you correct me right off the bat? Just tell me what I got wrong in your background, or maybe give us a little bit more color, right? All 3 of your companies, how long did you take from start to finish? When did they exit? How much did they exit for, at least from what you can announce?
Sure, absolutely. So I can give a little spiel, like a little background about myself and as in how these things happened. So I came to the US first in 2010 because I had a job offer from Google. But on the day of joining Google, I said no to them and ended up joining a startup based out of Chicago.
Pause you there really quick too, right? I assume for this is an assumption. So tell me, I hate assumptions, they're dangerous. So tell me if this is wrong. But I'm guessing for most people coming from India, I assume that's where you were before that. You got a job offer at Google. That's like a dream job for most people. Even in the US, it's a dream job to get a job from Google. And your parents were probably very proud of you. And then on day one, you're like, no, I'm out. I'm going to go join a startup. How did you even make that decision? Like it's like a dream job for people.
The thing is that how it's so happened is that at 22, you don't have any responsibilities as such. I didn't have a family to look after. My parents are pretty well sorted themselves. So I kind of knew that this is the time when I can just do whatever I like. And I am someone who's very, very driven by my gut, So I had met this startup founder on the flight when I was flying into the US, actually.
Wow.
And he was just telling me about what he's building. And, he was the first person, obviously, the CEO. And the second person was his wife. And I was the third person, actually. So, he was just telling me about what all he's doing. And then he ended up luring me so much into his startup idea. And he'd sold me the vision so well. I just couldn't think of anything else. The excitement of all the things that you could do. I think that really attracted me so much. So I walked into the Google headquarters and I was like, oh my goodness, walking into a captive. Is this going to be the end of my growth? What am I going to do? So I was like, okay, where is Google going? Google is going to be there forever. Yeah. So let me just try my things out. and see what works, what doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I'll come.
But
So
we're like the recruiter or whoever brought you on board, were they kind of horrified? Like, wait a second, you're like that must not ever happen. Basically, someone's like, okay, day one, I'm out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, my dad was like, "This is the worst decision of your life." I mean, in 2010, nobody even knew the meaning of the word startup. Hardly anyone did,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So, but I was like, "Who cares? It's okay." I mean, I think I have very high risk tolerance that a lot of people don't. Maybe that's why I was like, it's okay. I'm going to see, I'm going to try it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll do something else, but I'll figure it out. I think I was pretty confident about myself.
Why do you think you had that level of confidence? Right, that's sort of rare for people.
Yeah, so this to answer this question, I'll have to actually tell you a little bit about my background. So, when I was a kid, I've had I've experienced a lot of challenges. I've had depression for 17 years of my life as a kid for multiple reasons, and I think that is what essentially set the tone for whatever I have become now. So I've seen so many challenges in my life. I've never really had a normal childhood. And, unlike a lot of people, for me, it wasn't about money or resources. It was more about emotional challenges. At the age of 12, I witnessed a gruesome genocide in India, and the amount of bloodshed and murder that I'd seen, that completely knocked me off. And 1 year before that, I'd seen a terrible earthquake, 6.9 on the Richter scale, which is one of the, highest,
Yeah.
at least in Asia so far, and also globally. It is still remembered back in 2001. And we lost our house, and, because the whole multi-storied apartment fell. And we had to spend the next 3 months in a rehabilitation camp. So when back-to-back 2 years in a row, you've seen such things, when life gives you a second chance, you take it. But when it gives you a third, you might as well make good use of it. I mean, I almost got killed twice, 11 and 12. And then after that, I had insomnia. I couldn't think through things properly. I have extremely supportive parents and a very, very good family. I've been very blessed that way. But, one thing that I understood was that, okay, I've almost got killed twice. What can be worse than this? Now landing in America, how many people actually get that? I mean, yes, I do come from a very good engineering institution, and, I had access to the best education, the best of everything. My dad's a scientist, mom's a lawyer. So we've got the best of every possible world. Let's just say that. I've been privileged that way. So, when you've now finally landed into the US after you've seen so much, now, if you don't take risks now, where do you take risks then, right? At the age of 22. So my brain was like, I've always survived. I am a survivor. So I'm going to beat this too. I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to figure things out. I mean, worse, I'll end up being broke. But I knew that, I'm good enough. If I could, crack a fortune company in the first attempt, I'm sure I mean, there would be someone else who'd be like, okay, she's tried running a startup, she's failed. Now let's see where it goes, right? So give her an opportunity. So yeah, I think I was like, let's just go with the flow here.
It's still pretty impressive. I mean, I can easily make an argument the other way, where someone who has all those bad things happen is going to take only the safe path. And frankly, many people who do have the safe path, right? There's lots and lots of people who are Americans who don't have anything bad ever happen in their lives, who all they do is they go to a good, they go off to Harvard or wherever, top university, and they go straight into banking or consulting or whatever else, because that's sort of the safe, easy path. Yeah. Obviously, this is about entrepreneurs, so I clearly don't think that is the right path for most people. And I think it's a waste of their talent if they take that path. But it's still really brave of you, especially when it's coming from that to have that occur. But okay, so you quit Google on day one. You're an ex-Googler after one day. And then you go into this startup, and what happened? Was that a good decision?
So it was the best decision of my life, frankly, the best. I have no regret. The amount of learning that I've had, the founder was like, this is what we have to do. This is how much funding we have. I need you to acquire these clients by hook or by crook. Do whatever it takes. Go bust your ass. I don't care. Just give me the results. That was it, And at 22, I'm like, okay, so we have to go acquire the largest pharma company as a client and sell analytical solutions to them. And who are the people on the other side of the table? Like 60-year-old statisticians and, people who have PhDs and stuff. It's so, and I'm 22. I'm like less than half their age. Why would they listen to me?
And you're also, I mean, no offense on this, but like you're also a foreigner, right? You don't even, you're new to America.
Yes. And I was like, how does that work? Like, what are you saying? Have you lost it? As she told the founder, have you lost it? What are you saying? Come with me at least. How am I supposed to? He's like, no, figure it out. This is what it is. I know you can do it. I know you're a good storyteller. Just go talk to people. Yes, but I remember one very good piece of advice, which I didn't know was very good until then. I was like, what shit is he talking about? He's like, selling is not about selling. It's about listening. That's what he told me. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? What do you mean selling is not about listening? It's not selling, it's listening. What? So I was like, okay, whatever. I remember watching, some of those like videos on YouTube. I mean, back in 2010, there was not much on YouTube anyway. Right. And I was like, okay, let's see what people are saying. There were, and I read some books, how to sell, how to do all of that. And, some shit, some magazines. And I remember reading a few case studies that were there on, the Harvard Business Review and stuff. It's like, okay, let's see. I don't know what to do. The first meeting set with the world's largest pharma company here in this country. And oh my goodness, I don't know what to say. I have my 30 slider pitch deck, and this gentleman has absolutely no time. He was older than my dad back then, So I have utmost respect and I just have to sit and listen to him. So he sits for 30 minutes. He listens about all the generic stuff, what we are doing, what we're trying to build or whatever. And then he gets a phone call and so he has to leave. And it wasn't a mobile phone call. His assistant came and told you have to, you've got a call from your wife or something. So he goes, he comes back after 20 minutes. It's a 1 hour meeting, 30 minutes, 20 minutes gone and then he comes and he's venting. He's constantly venting. He's talking about some challenges at home and, his wife and him not getting along and kids and responsibilities. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Yes. Oh my God, I can understand. I mean, I don't know what to say when somebody's venting and he's at the verge of having an outburst, like a really bad emotional outburst. And I just heard him out patiently for the next 30 minutes. So he's given me extra time now from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And then I just heard him without saying a word. I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. That's it. And then he's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask you for anything. And then he took me to to their pantry, to the cafeteria, whatever. He's like, do you want to have something to eat? You must be so hungry. You came in the morning. It's like, yeah, I was starving. He's like, yes, absolutely. And we sat and I still remember a hamburger, which I didn't like, but because I was sitting with him, I have to pretend like I liked it. And drinking a lot of coffee. And then he's like, okay, what were you talking about again? What's the company called? What do you guys do? And I was like, no, that's not important. I understand. I mean, I said that. I was genuinely being empathic. I was like, this is not the time to talk about my company. I know that you're going through, divorce and stuff and whatever that is happening. So I was like, I can come some other day. It's okay when you're feeling better. So, no. Let's talk. That is what clicked. And then I told him and he's like, oh my God, you've been so nice. You've heard me out. I don't know who to tell this to. You know what? Let's schedule a proper call and so on and so forth with your CEO. And oh my goodness, that was the day when I understood after the first meeting at the largest pharma company. So you know which one I'm talking about. That, selling is all about listening. It's not about selling, actually. I just heard the person out, and that day I understood the power of empathy. I mean, yes, I've had a ton of breakups in my past, but how I wanted someone to hear me out. Similarly, this client he was just venting, and he wasn't paying attention to what I was saying initially at all. But then when he asked me that, oh, okay, what were you talking about again? And I was like, no, listen, I'm going to reschedule this. It's okay. You're not feeling well. I mean, I could have been like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I could have just like forced him and sort of tried to impose my ideas upon him. But I didn't do that. I was being very human. And then he actually got back. And you know what? We got a $1 million pilot with that client. It took us 6 months, but I was there every day in their New York office. And anyone who listens to this will know which client I'm talking about. And they have the biggest blockbuster drugs. They had the vaccines. They had
How did you even get in the door to have a meeting with him in the first place? Like, well, how did you manage that? Because that's really hard for startups to get. Like, you're a 3-person startup. I know maybe you hired a few other people and raised money, but like, you're still a tiny startup. How did you get in the door with massive?
Yeah, because the co-founder's wife was from Harvard, and these guys had a Harvard connection.
This was Mu Sigma, right? And that's where, and you took Mu Sigma from 3 people, you're the founder, his wife, and you, to 300 million in ARR. Is that right? I mean, that's insane. So what, I mean, I want to, like, there's something just even about that. Like, how did you go, like, and that was in over 4 years. Is that right? Too?
Almost 5.
Okay. Still, what is that? Like 75 million a year or something? Like,
Yeah.
65 million a year or whatever. That's crazy.
It's a lot of hard work.
Well, sure. It always is. What do you think the secret was? Like, how, like, obviously it's a team effort to get there, but you clearly were a huge part of it. What was the secret to growing a company? Like, that revenue growth rate is almost unheard of.
I think the biggest secret was the liberty to do your thing. No micromanaging. Like, just go do your thing. And that is what essentially taught me so much, that you can just go build, go do your own thing, and figure things out for yourself. And having the space to innovate, to create your own stuff and do as much as you want. And obviously hiring great people on board, right? So, and having great training sessions. I think all of it clubbed together was, awesome.
But how did the company set, or the CEO and founder set the minds? Like, you can say, go do your own thing, I trust you, but that doesn't always mean people are going to move very quickly or fast, right? It doesn't guarantee that you're, like, a lot of times when people say, go do your thing, if no one's really paying attention, they just kind of do a little bit of work. So how did you set the culture, or the founder or CEO set the culture that, sure, I trust you, but you need to move quickly? Because once again, that growth rate is pretty unheard of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the founders were awesome. Needless to say that, yes. And when you have that kind of a leadership, right, and obviously great people on board, and so they created an incredible exposure and sort of an environment where, you're getting access to the best resources, the best minds. Anyone that you need to talk to, you can talk to them, you can learn what they are doing, how to do it. And of course, the whole Ivy League access, right? So we used to get like meetings with some incredible people who are also building great companies, who've now started some of the biggest funds in the country, here and in India both. So getting access to that kind of an advisor board, and those kind of mentors, and sort of sharing ideas with them and understanding the power of networking. I think networking was very, very strong. So yeah, I learned so much from them. I mean, in fact, the biggest learning was the power of networking.
Okay, so explain that more. When you say the power of networking, okay, sure, it got you this deal because the Harvard connection got you this deal, got your foot in the door. What else did it do, and how else did they work their network in a really smart way?
Yeah.
What did that really mean? Or how did they do it?
So, first thing is attending events, a lot of events. Like, when I say a lot of events, I mean, hiring some very emotionally intelligent people, 30 of them, and dropping them in the, hiring these people in the topmost cities in the country, and getting them to, attend every possible event where you can meet investors or clients or whoever, right? So that is something that we used to do a lot, I remember, because it's not possible for one or two people to be attending everything, right? So, and then getting all those business cards and talking to them, building that whole lead gen pipeline, right?
What sort of people did you hire for that? Like, what's the mindset of the person who's going to go to an event and just network hard?
So, initially, obviously, because of lack of resources, it's mostly college interns, right?
Really? So you're hiring college interns to go to these events and be like, your job is to have good conversations with as many people as you can and get business cards. That was like,
Yes, exactly. Because it's not possible for one person to be attending everything. I mean, okay, like I can attend the top events like South by Southwest or Disrupt or, something else. But there are so many other events locally that happen where, you get the best. So how do you do that? For that, essentially, it is really important that, you go meet, you get the best people on board, college interns. So, it's like, I mean, paying $500 for a month and you're attending an event every day. I mean, $500 for a college student it's incredible. They're like, oh my God, okay, I'm just going to go attend events. I'm getting free food, free booze. And I just have to collect business cards and talk to them and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Yay, awesome. Let's do this.
Would these interns say that they worked at would they say, hey, we work at Moose Sigma, this is what we do? Or be like, hey, like I'm in college, but like I'm affiliated with Moose Sigma and this is the cool things we do. Like, did you train, like, how did you train them to sound authentic and not fake?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, so we had told them to use the word collaborate, instead of, because obviously these are kids, right? So yeah, I mean, and those kids actually ended up getting so much more, access to even other companies. Like they would just end up joining some of the people that they've met, right? Because these guys, I mean, so we would generally get people from the theater groups and stuff within a college, or from the debate clubs, because these people are very good with their communication. If an institution already has an entrepreneurship unit, then yes, get maybe their marketing head or someone who really knows how to network with, let's say, other investors and stuff, and who's been doing this because they're building a community. So those kind of people, obviously, great communication. That is the only thing that you would look for.
And did you just say to them, okay, go find every event that's happening related to our industry in your city, and your job is to show up each.
Yes, just that. Just go to anything and everything.
And you gave them like a talk track and said, here's your talk track, generally what you have to say, what we do, how we do it.
Yes. That would just be a 2-day thing, very simple. Yeah. And I mean, we were like, okay, you guys have to be pretty well dressed. I mean, these are guys who already know how to talk.
Yeah.
And they've been doing this for maybe 2 or 3 years while they are studying. So teaching them how to talk isn't a problem. The only thing, the challenge is to actually get them to go attend those events, because kids can be like, okay, I got drunk too much at this place, so I couldn't go to the evening one or whatever, right? Sometimes we used to get those things. So we were like, hey, no, come on, like, buckle up, come on, you got to go attend more events, you got to do this. So talk track and stuff was never a problem. Keeping them motivated enough to attend more events, that is the challenge, actually.
How did you solve that?
So, I mean, initially I would go to a lot of places with a bunch of people. And then on the phone, back then we had the Cisco web thing. So I remember we used to, like get all of these guys, like 30 people on a call, be like, guys, we did so well. This is amazing. Yay. And sort of get a leadership coach to like give them maybe a 45-minute whatever task or something. All of those things that corporates would do. Yeah, so all of those things, but otherwise, generally, these were students from very good institutions, so, and they knew that everything is result based, right? So, and they were pretty well incentivized and taken care of. All the travel was taken care of and stuff. So they were happy and we were getting everything. I mean, it was just that, when you get driven, enthusiastic people on board, you end up doing incredible things. I think that was the base learning.
Also, once again, I mean, I love the idea, Joe, of kind of how you're doing it what you kind of being scrappy about it is a win-win for the college student too, because they have an excuse to go to these events and get to know these people who they otherwise wouldn't network with. Like people wouldn't want to talk to them if they were just like random college student. So okay, that's amazing. So networking is everything. You just network the hell out of all this stuff. So okay, you move past college students once you got a little bit more money. Then what, you started hiring salespeople. What was the aggressive rollout to get to 300 million in ARR in 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. We had like 2000 plus people, over a period of time. Yes. So the thing is,
How many people were total in the company when you left?
I think 2000 plus. Yeah.
So you started 3 people from an airplane ride from India to
2000
2,000 plus people.
Yes.
Wow.
2000 plus. Yeah. And
What was your job? You had maybe many job titles.
so, like a lot of business analytics, a lot of sales, account management, engagement manager, bunch of things. They were like, give yourself the name that you want. We don't care about the names as long as things are getting done. In fact, on our signature blocks, we had this rule that we would never write our position, because we are like, okay, we're all equals. It doesn't really matter. And, we didn't really believe in the concept of reporting to someone. The whole hierarchy of things, right? The founder would come and do the same stuff that probably a fresher is doing, who's like fresh out of Harvard,
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter. So we were like, we don't put any of our designations on the signature blocks. We're just like, okay, as long as you're getting things done. So yes, of course, internally there is that org structure which has been designed. But I've done everything. I've taken customer calls. I've taken investor calls. I've taken sales calls. I've done hiring. I mean, name it, I've done everything. Like 1 year here, 1 year there, everything possible. Yeah.
So going back to networking for a second though, when you say networking is everything, what else do you do? Like I've never heard a company say gotten to 300 million in revenue and ARR with networking. So like, what was the secret to using networking even as you scaled up the company? How did that still work?
When one company loves the work that you do, you obviously ask them to recommend other people, right? That is there. Now, let's say when you've already done some incredible work with 10 companies, now each of those 10 people would have referred maybe the company that they have come from, or someone within their community that they're working with. And retail, there are hundreds of retail companies in this country, right? Hundreds of them. So getting that network, getting those connections was actually not that difficult. We just had to make sure that the first 10 were done pretty well. Like, I mean, we had impeccable customer service. Like, even in the middle of the night, if a customer was like, this report is missing, can you sort of help me figure this out? Or, hey, I know it's late and you have to leave for the weekend because it's Thanksgiving. Can you just help me with this particular scorecarding or something? And, the team was so driven that they would actually wait another 3 hours, finish the stuff, and then be like, okay, no problem. I'll just, make sure that this is done. Now, that kind of a culture when you've built, right? So word just spreads, and then people are like, oh my God, these guys are so good. And then they go out of their way to help you out. So when the sales team is reaching out to them that, we were looking at expanding and we would love for you to maybe refer someone that you think would gain from our services. Oh yes, of course, for sure. You know what? I know this company because they had reached out to me, but I said no to them because I'm pretty happy in this role. I think you should connect to that person. And then, so those 10 people ended up connecting us to like 50 more people, and we just kept on building the pipeline, and it just grew from there.
That's awesome. I mean, I still feel like I want to go dig deeper here. So like, it sounds like you're making it sound too easy. It's like, it just grew and we were just good customer support and delighted our customers and networked, and that led to 300 million ARR. It almost sounds too easy. But we have a lot of other things to talk about still. And I asked a question early on. I tried to ask you really at the beginning. We just sort of got off track really fast. Before we go further though, especially into your own entrepreneurial journey, how do you define entrepreneurial excellence? Like, what does it mean to be an excellent entrepreneur?
The power to influence decision making. That is what makes you an excellent entrepreneur. Be it with a customer, with an investor, with a team. I mean, the first thing starts with your co-founder, right? You might have opposing views about building a particular product or solving a particular problem. But if you're able to challenge their thinking and actually influence their decisions and then get them to believe in your vision, in your idea, right? I think you are an excellent entrepreneur then, you know?
Essentially, the ability to influence others. Going back to that first job, your first startup on that airplane, that founder, that CEO, was obviously really good because he convinced you on a long airplane ride from India to quit Google and join his company.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's how it starts, right? I mean, the first people who join your company, you have to be able to make them believe in what you are trying to create. If they don't believe you, right, then as the team grows, no one's going to believe in you, right? It's not just that people work for money. People work with you because they love you, you know.
Yep.
There are endless opportunities available out there, but it's not like, okay, let me just work here for 3 months, I'll make some money and then go shop around. No, it's about we love her. Oh my God, she's amazing. She's got incredible ideas. I really want to work with her. I believe in her. Right. So that is all about how do you position your ideas? How do you, sell your ideas? How do you sell yourself? The confidence with which you speak. I think confidence is everything. It just trumps every other thing. You don't need to have any other skill set as an entrepreneur. I believe number one is confidence. Then comes great communication and all that. Yeah.
So okay. So actually, let's talk about confidence for a second too, and then get back to your story. But we didn't quite finish saying, like, you had this high level of confidence that it sounds like most founders don't have. Like, you just had it because you went through these hardships as a kid. Every founder that I come across, an entrepreneur, would say they have confidence, right? They have to have some if they're going to go start a company.
Mm-hmm.
Yet only some do it great. Like, by great being, they build a company that actually has a successful outcome for them or their family. However you want to define that. What do you think separates the people who have like real confidence or like a lot of it or something versus others who don't, right? You've worked with, I'm sure, a lot of founders. Obviously, very few have exits in success like you do. What is separating the people who think they do, right? They're still entrepreneurs versus the ones who really do and have outsized success.
So, confidence alone is obviously not gonna, get you the exit that you want. That coupled with perfect timing, understanding what you're selling when you're selling it, right? That is something that really, really matters. If you can crack that code, and obviously, relentless and resilient and, all of those things, having a great team, obviously, right? High risk tolerance and not giving up no matter what. Ultimately, things just happen. But it starts with confidence, but coupled with a bunch of other things together. I think being an entrepreneur is, a package which has so many things packed into it together, but it starts with confidence. You need to have the guts to actually be like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I have this comfortable paying job. I'm going to quit and start something of my own. That is what is the first step. But after that, figuring out what the problem is and the timing and, the willingness to accept and market, all of that. Yeah.
Sure. I agree. But what sets you apart, right? Don't be shy about this, right? What sets you apart, right? Once again, all the things you just said, I would say every entrepreneur would say they have that. Yet very few achieve what you've done. What makes you different? Your level of confidence, your level of ability to plan. What sets you apart? What do you think sets the really good ones apart?
So, a bunch of things, to be very honest. First is that I'm extremely resilient. And obviously, that has been the conditioning from the time that I was a kid. So that resilience is something that I think I don't have a plan B at all. If I had to start from scratch today, and let's say, if I were broke and starting from scratch, I would still not give up. I'd be like, it's okay. I'll go sell something, whatever that I have, sell my assets and stuff, and then get that money and then start a new company all over again if I had to do it, if I had to do that. I think having that attitude that no matter what, I know I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that is something that 90% of entrepreneurs do not have.
Yeah, right. They always have a backup plan. Well, if this fails, it's okay. We do this.
Exactly. But I have never had a backup plan. I was like, it's okay. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll do something else or I'll pivot and figure out why isn't this working. But I don't have, my parents are pretty, are well off. They're pretty well settled. But my dad told me, I am not investing in your startup. You go figure your, do your own thing out. I don't understand this. And I've never taken any money from my parents, to be honest. I was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. But convincing people who are strangers, who you've just met for the first time. I mean, of course, you've been to thousands of events. You've made those networks. I have like 10,000 plus cards with me. I mean, I had. But, all that, yes. But then ultimately, when it comes to emptying their pockets and giving you money, that takes a lot of conviction in a founder. First thing, yes, confidence and your appearance and how you're talking and, your vision, your plan, your numbers or whatever, all of those things are there. But eventually for them to keep coming back and trust you and be like, oh my God, you know what? I love this person so much. Even if it fails, I want to still keep supporting her. That comes, for that, there's a lot that actually goes into it, right? How frequently are you following up with your customers, with your investors, with whoever, with your stakeholders, right? And keeping them in the loop, letting them know, giving them those monthly updates, all of those things, right? So I think I'm extremely resilient in that fashion. And I don't give up. Like, I think very highly of myself. Like, in my head, I know that I'm going to do it no matter what.
But that's it. That's what you have to have, that attitude. I mean, it's shocking me. I was talking with the founder yesterday and she was asking for advice about how to pitch her company. And she's like, well, I have this idea. We go this direction, this way. I'm like, look, you need to come into a pitch with just, you are so confident. You know exactly how this is going to play out. Even if you have a million ideas or you're not totally sure, when you go into that pitch, it could be a customer, could be a teammate, of course, could be a venture capitalist. You need to say, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And I know this is going to work, because it's that level of confidence that you exude on a call or in a meeting. And that's what people get excited by. They want to back someone who understands and knows the future better than they do. And I think a lot of founders do lose track of that or sight of it because, like, well, I want to be honest. I'm like, no, like everyone knows you don't have all the answers, but they want to believe that you know what you're doing. And that's what you want to back, is the person who seems to have that confidence, and they will just go figure it out and keep pushing until they do get the right answer. So confidence, great, totally agree. Mu Sigma. So you leave after about 5 years. Did the company exit? What happened with them? Are they still running?
Yeah, they're still running. They're doing very, very well. They're still doing pretty well. I think they might go IPO in the next 2 or 3 years.
I hope they bring you to the IPO place to join them up on stage at NASDAQ.
I'd love to. At least the early employees. Absolutely. Great people for sure.
So okay. So you leave Mu Sigma. Why did you leave? And then why did you go? Was the next thing you did just went straight into founding your company, Art is Right?
Yeah, I'll tell you that story. So, I was like, why am I working 16 hours, for someone else? I might as well do it for myself. I mean, in 2014, I was like, okay, there's a lot happening. And I'm a huge movie buff. I love movies. I love content, always have. I've done a lot of theater myself back in my school for like 14 plus years throughout my school. So, content is something that I always understood. And I'm talking about the whole growth of internet, from 4chan to, Reddit to all the other stuff that came later.
And it's in 2013, about, just so people know the time frame.
Yes. So 13, 14 is when Reddit was really, really big, right? I mean, it was so famous. So I was on Reddit, and, I had seen the power of all of these subreddits and the way things were just going crazy. And Facebook, Instagram was still upcoming, right? So I kind of knew one thing, and I knew it because I had that circle of people, to be honest. And, we used to have those very intelligent conversations. And we knew one thing, that so Netflix had already become a big thing in the US. They had made their shift from selling CDs to, creating great content and stuff. So Indian audiences were still very much prone to consuming content on their television sets as opposed to on a digital platform. So we knew that that shift is going to happen very soon.
Yeah.
But there is this massive company in India called Reliance, which is world famous, right? Now,
Isn't it Geo Reliance or something? Or am I?
so Reliance is, I mean, they have petroleum, they have chemicals, they have, retail, they have Geo. Geo is basically the whole internet part of it. And then, yeah, and then, they have mobile phones, they have everything. They're like the biggest in India, pretty much. And I mean, also the Ambanis are like the world's top 10 richest families, one of that. So they had come out with Geo in the telecom side of things, and they were giving free internet to everyone.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, what was happening was that the shift from the traditional Nokia phones, the Nokia 2100 model, I don't know if you remember, it looked like, I mean, a bat or something, I mean, there was no internet, nothing. People used to play that snake game on that. They had suddenly started moving from that to the new Nokia phone, which basically had internet on it because Jio was giving free internet. So suddenly that shift had happened. And 2014-15, for anyone who's seen India's growth, knows that it was insane. It was insane. Everyone was like in districts, in rural areas, free internet. We can make calls. We can do all of that. Let's just move. Let's just switch. That's when we were like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. What Jio did was incredible. One of the biggest telecom successes ever. So that is when we had this idea that Netflix is huge here. Why not build a similar platform, but for Indian vernacular languages? Now, for anyone who's aware, now India, there are thousands of languages that are spoken. Okay. But the Indian constitution recognizes about 34 official languages, like 34 languages as official languages.
Which is still alive. See, in the United States, there basically there actually, I don't think is an official language in the US, but there's probably like 1 to 2 or 3 that are sort of spoken mostly now. 34 is 10x.
34 official languages recognized by the constitution, and each one has a different background, a different script, different culture completely. So we were like, the power of vernacular is intense, tremendous. And, India has 29 states right now. Back then, it probably had 26 or 27. A few new states were created. So we were like, there is a different culture, different thing in every state. What if we can get access to vernacular content, within their states? What if we can get them that? And I wasn't the only one who was thinking this. The biggest players, Viacom, MTV, name it, the biggest ones in India, they were all planning the same thing. There was that whole thing happening in the media discussing about the power of content, the power of vernacular. India lies in its rural, the power of India is in its villages and stuff. So that's where the idea came to us. And yes, I'll agree, we were one of the first ones and the quickest ones to launch. So, and...
Why you quit Mu Sigma? Because you were like, I have this idea, the time is now. If I don't do it now, it's going to pass me by.
Yeah, I mean, 4-5 years, I think, is a pretty good time to learn about a particular industry, right? So I had done that. And so I was like, now is the time to go, figure out if I can build companies or not.
Back to India too to do this.
Yes. I went back to India in 2014 and I was like, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to see if it works, if it doesn't work, whatever. But I have this idea and I'm hearing so much. And yes, of course, I knew that the timing was good because I'd done all of those checks and I'd spoken with the right set of people that, hey, I'm planning to build this. And I knew the people who are working in, some of these great production houses. Everyone knows about Bollywood in India, obviously. So, I knew some of those really creative, creative geniuses who I could collaborate with and create some amazing content. So we just went all in and we'd raised some money from some family offices and stuff in India. And there are like thousands of them. India has so many family offices, like
really, these are like wealthy families, basically.
extremely wealthy, extremely like generational wealth, like billion-dollar family.
How did you get in? I mean, for those who are raising money in India and listening to this, how did you get even into these family offices to try to go raise money from them? Like that is not easy, right? And you're a smart, person coming from the US, worked in the US for 4 years for a successful company.
That is exactly what worked. I was about to say this. That's exactly what worked. US return. That really works. People are gonna hate me when they listen to this.
Why won't they hate you?
Because that really works. I mean, they might not really trust someone who's been trying to build from scratch within India, but someone who's done it in the US. And of course, US is great. US is the one country which gives credence to anything that you're building in tech, right? Everyone knows that. This is a dream. This is amazing. So when you've built it here and then when you go back to build something from scratch in your own country and you're like, this is what I've done. I've done this. I've proven it. And now I'm trying to build something here, right? Now, first of all, in full honesty, there were not too many women in 2014 as entrepreneurs. I mean, of course, we know we women have had some crazy journeys since time immemorial, right? Now, in India, it was much lesser, obviously, right? So,
to be clear, there still aren't enough female entrepreneurs in the US.
Yeah, I mean, this is a global problem, very, very underrepresented community, unfortunately. So, a woman who knows her content pretty well and is confident enough to actually go reach out to people. Now, that's a very rare combination. And I had asked all of the people that I'd spoken with who ended up investing in us then, okay, why did you invest in us? They're like, I have never had a woman come and pitch to me. So I was like, okay, let me support one for a change. Maybe I can add something to my portfolio. I was like, okay, great for me. And thanks to my dad's genes, I got he got the X chromosome. So I was like, amazing. I'm so glad I'm a woman. It's helped me. Why not? And I mean, you have to be very opportunistic, right? As a, irrespective of whatever gender you are, but as a woman, you need to be even more opportunistic because there are not too many opportunities, unfortunately, for you as a woman. So you have to just go sell yourself. So that is something that I did. I remember writing to 500 family offices on LinkedIn, and I am shameless when it comes to selling myself. I have always accepted this, that, if you don't sell yourself, no one else is going to sell you.
100%.
No one else can do that.
You have to, this I hate, by the way, sorry, side note on that. I hate it when companies like, oh, I got a new partner and they're going to go help me get all these new customers. Like, the partner is never going to be as good as you at selling your own company. So
yes,
whatever your expectations are, cut those by 75%.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I was in the trenches. Whatever money that I'd saved from my US accolades, I put everything in, right? I was like, it's okay. I'll see whatever. So my dad by then was a little kinder. He was like, Sharmin, if you don't have a place to live, you can always come and stay at a house. I was like, oh, my dad is empathic with me now. So, that was there. But though I never really went back and stayed with him, I would just go twice a year to stay there. But, I had put in all of my money, whatever that I'd saved, everything. And I'd bought a house. I'd even, decided to let go of that place, worst case, if need be. I was like, no matter what, I'm going to just do whatever it takes,
Yep.
So when you've given up everything, there is nothing left for you to lose. So you run out of fear. People are like, oh my God, I have millions invested here. I have millions in XYZ country. What if something happens? What if the markets crash? I was like, who cares? I have put in everything into this company now that I'm building. So when you have nothing left, where is the fear to lose anything, So
I'll just add on that. I completely agree, but I think even taking it a little more philosophical just for a second, which is I feel the same. Like there's nothing I can lose because in the end, if I lose all my money and my things, like I've already had, I have this great education, I have these great relationships, I have all these other things that are far worth more value than the cash or things like that. And And so, yes, there's nothing to lose, like, because I can always bounce back. Like, I have all these gifts that have given to me by history, by the fact I was born here, by the fact that I've had great parents. Same thing as you. So there is nothing to lose. Like, none of those things matter when you realize that deep down, you're a product of course, your lifestyle, your parents, and these other things. And those all have made you who you are. But that gives you the confidence to be who you want to be. And you will always find a way to bounce back if you're hardworking and smart.
Exactly. I might want to just add this, just distracting a little bit. So I come from a very mixed cultural background. My dad is half Indian, half Kazakh. Mom is half Indian, half French. And dad's family is all Muslim. Mom's family has like Jews and Christians and Muslims and everything. So we take after our dad's name in India. Patriarchy is everywhere. So, I have my dad's surname, but we practice everything, I mean, we don't really practice any religion. But we celebrate everything. I mean, we eat on Purim. We do our celebrations on Purim, during Ramadan, during Christmas, everything pretty much. And of course, all the Hindu, cultures, because India is 80% Hindu. So there's access to so many Hindu festivals. And, so that actually conditions your mind and your thinking during your growing up days,
Yeah.
So I must say this, that I'm really privileged in that way, that I come from a family which had given me access to so many cultures, so many different, forms of practicing religion or anything, I mean, the kind of perspective that they grew me up with was, I think, tremendous, which I have really given to my parents for, bringing me up with great education and great perspectives. So yes, you're right. I knew that, even if I have no money left, it's okay. I'll still start from scratch and I'll figure it out. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, okay. So let's keep going. This is a great comment. We're going to go way over, I'm sure, but great. You raise this money from these family offices. Artist Right Productions is going boom on, tell us the story. How did you grow it? 500,000 subscribers, 7 million views. 4 years later, after raising this money, you sell it for 8 figures. That's a very short version. What are all the key things you had to do to make that happen?
You mentioned everything. Wow, you've done such good research. So, yes, initially we were creating a lot of content on YouTube, on Vimeo and stuff, obviously, right? We had a bunch of YouTube channels, different things. I mean, one for social causes, one for women only, one for, I remember one of the best, the best ones was, with finding jobs and stuff, how difficult it is for, people from a certain rural background or something to find a job in, urban India, whatever, like all of those. But everything was about the common man. So, we did a lot of research to understand what is it that people in multiple states would love to watch, right? So, we had actually gone and spoken to, I think 500 plus people, I mean, I didn't obviously do it all by myself. I did. So I come from Bengal. West Bengal is one of the states in the eastern part of India. So I was like, guys, I can take care of anything and everything to do with Bengal because I have family there. But there are 28 other states, and, we will need access to people who, who have access to some of those creative minds, who really know what it is. So we went to Delhi. Now, Delhi is obviously the national capital. Now, Delhi so there's something called as Delhi University, which has like 100 colleges under this. Now, getting into Delhi University is one of the toughest things in India. So the best talent from around the country actually joins DU. It's called DU, and they have like 100 colleges under them, different streams, whatever that you want to do, economics, history, art, music, whatever. So we knew that if we can have a partnership with, some of these colleges, as in with their cultural teams and stuff, and Delhi University's cultural team is famous all over the country, like all over India. And these are the guys who end up becoming actors or directors or producers of, movies in Bollywood, basically. So that is something that we knew. So I went and met those people, first. I was like, guys, this is what I'm planning to do. I want your your opinion on this. Would you be willing to collaborate with me and things like that? And I told them about my background, whatever. And I had also done theater myself for like 14 years before that. And my mom's a very famous Bengali theater artist,
Wow.
So again, privilege came into the picture here, but those connections, right? So one person, I mean, they all know each other. It's a small circuit of people. So we were like, would you be interested in, putting up content on YouTube? First, people were like, YouTube, oh my God, who's going to own this? No, I want to do this. I want to put it in, in a movie theater or whatever. And then I had to sit and explain to them the power of digital media and how great access can be, right? I mean, in a theater, you can only get so many people. But if you want to be famous quicker, you have to be online and quote some of those things from the US and other parts of the world where some crazy things were happening. So explain all of those things. And I think that really helped. So when I got the power of that network and when I partnered with them, they were like, okay, we're coming on board. Let's do this. And each one of them had such amazing scripts already because these are the people who anyway go to rural parts of India as part of their projects, college projects. And, they have those tie-ups, those partnerships. So it was easy for them to then, start hiring actors, start getting producers. My job was to essentially bring all of them together and obviously make sure that there was money on the table.
So you brought them on board to get that going, started getting shows on the platform.
Yeah.
And then how did the company grow? So how many people did you end up hiring? You were a CEO, founder. How many people did you hire? How did you grow that then from there?
In the core team, I mean, when I say core team, I mean like the leadership was about 7 people. But other than that, like full-time people, about 65 odd, full-time people. Yeah. And other than that, I mean, these actors and producers and like,
right. They're not part of the team per se, right? You're this core team, 60 people. How did you hire properly, build or get the right people on board? Are there tips and tricks you use to build? What sort of culture did
Yeah. Lots of things actually. So initially we were like, okay, which hiring portal do we go? Angel list wasn't really a thing back 2014. There was no angel list, right? But angel list has the maximum usage in India right now. Now it's well found.
You mean like angel lists are well found or both?
Now it's well found, yes, but initially they were only angel list, right? So even then, angel list was like, it was insane. I'm talking about 2017, 18.
Everyone wanted to work at US tech companies, and that's why they were looking on angel lists.
All the Indian startups had also posted jobs on Angel List. In fact, Angel List's maximum usage was in India. I'd read an article and watched one of Nawal Ravikant's videos where he said that India is like the biggest. So, but there was no Angel List back then. So I was like, okay, how do I hire people? So, and Indeed also wasn't there then. But India has its own portals. There's the largest one being Naukri.com. So Naukri basically in Hindi literally transfers to job. Translates to job in English. So there's this thing called Naukri.com, which is really famous. So I posted jobs on that. And then there are some of those agencies which obviously curate jobs and then they get you the best people and then they take like a month of their salary as their pay. All of that stuff is there.
Yes.
So spoke with some of those people and I think like that I got the first 5 or 6 good hires. And obviously I also had some people in my network, right? I mean, some of the family offices would given us money. They were also like, okay, you know what? I know this person who's great at marketing because you will need a lot of door-to-door marketing here. You'll have to send people to cities and stuff and be like, okay, this is what we are starting. Check us out, whatever. So all of that. We had a very great, a very good marketing team. Very, very good marketing team, obviously.
Were there certain qualities that you were looking for in each one of your hires or all your hires in all of your companies that you're like, I want someone to have this and I asked a certain question that helped me find this person?
First thing is that I don't think I am capable of judging a man or a woman's skill sets in just a few rounds of conversations, right? Skill sets is something that you either learn on the job or you've learned and then you prove it on the job, right? But I think what I'm really good at is basically understanding a person's psyche. That is something that, and yes, there are a fixed set of questions that you ask and stuff, right? I mean, all that is something that everyone does. But other than that, more importantly, is that, I think I like to know more about what their upbringing has been, and where do they come from? What are their dreams? What are they looking at in life? Now, someone who says that I want to be a millionaire, I want to be very, very famous, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it or whatever. I'm like, what you say? There are those people, right? I mean, those wannabes who are just like, make me famous. What? No one can make you famous. I mean, you have to go do it yourself.
So what are the right answers?
So, I'm like, so if someone tells me I want to be very rich and I'm chasing financial freedom, okay, great, amazing. What's your roadmap for it? What do you want to do? So then if someone tells me that, I'm just fresh out of college, let's say, and, right now is the time where I just want to learn, because some people did tell me that. And those are the people I ended up hiring. I'm looking at learning. I'm looking at getting to know how the market is, what works. And I want to learn from the best people. And once I've figured out how to bring things together, how to sort of, be a good salesman, let's say, how to listen to people better, how to strike a chord with my customer, how to understand what my customer really needs, so that tomorrow when I want to start a company of my own, I have that clarity. Because that is exactly what I did, right? My first company that I worked with was somebody else's company. I was an employee there, right? I mean, and then it became a corporate thing, but it wasn't my own. So I learned all that. I was in the trenches with the core team there. Now, when I started my own thing and when I'm looking for my core team, I want to see people who had, I mean, the only person I was looking up to was the old me. I was like, if I had the audacity to say no to a Fortune 100 company and do something great and build something from that and then come and take the, risk of building my own thing, I want to see people who have the same kind of mindset. And, back in 2014, I was very brutal. I'll be honest. I was very brutal. I wasn't so empathic.
You mean when you say you're brutal in what way? Like you would just tell someone in an interview like you're not a fit. Thanks for and just hang up basically.
Yeah, I've been ruthless. Some people have, I mean, so many bruised egos. Let's just put it that way. So many. Like there have been a bunch of men, who've told me, who the fuck are you to tell me that I'm not good for this role? I'm so much nicer now. Back then, I think I was an asshole.
But maybe you needed to do that, right? So it sounds like you hired a great team. And then so Artist Right Productions, 8-figure exit. Explain that. Like how did that happen? 60 people building something really great, 8-figure exit. What did that look like?
Yeah.
And why did you exit after a little over 4 years?
Yeah. So, one of these massive production houses actually from, from Bollywood, everyone knows Bollywood. They had reached out seeing some of our content. So I mean, obviously, we had got a lot of acquisition offers from a lot of other YouTube channels. That okay, we want to acquire your channel, and we want you to come join us. We'll give you this massive payout, whatever, and you'll also have like amazing salary, whatever, so and so benefits. So all of that was happening from the second or the third year onwards. I was like, no, this is not what I want. But then when this production house came and, they had done some amazing work. So we were like, okay. And they had told us that we want copyrights to all the scripts. So going forward, what we do is it's completely up to us. And I've actually seen a lot of our content in some of the movies that these guys have made. It's just that I can't claim any copyrights because, we had to sell the copyrights. So, which is fine, of course. My investors had a very, good exit, and they were like, okay, amazing. And back then, I mean, an 8-figure exit in 2018 was, at least in India, I'm saying, wasn't something very heard of, So one of the first ones in the content space, that too. There was a lot of e-commerce companies that was going on in 2018 in India, at least. 2018 was all e-commerce. 17, 18. But a content company suddenly doing well. And then a bunch of other companies did well. And in 2018, Netflix was there. And then Amazon Prime Video came. And then, a lot of other.
So maybe you just at the right time before it got overly saturated.
Yes, yes. I mean, had we waited a little longer, Netflix would have bought us probably.
What made you decide to sell then? Like, why did you, only 4 years in, you're once again this person who's incredibly confident in yourself. Why were you like, I can't take this any further? Like, what made you decide to sell at that point?
Because, it was getting operationally very heavy, frankly. Very heavy, because when you're creating content, right? So there is a production setup, right? There's a camera, there's someone behind the camera, there are people in front of the camera, and then there are people who are managing the whole set and everything. And costumes and changes, and then getting other actors and like scene after scene, right? I mean, that is essentially what we were doing. It's a lot of tedious. I mean, it's extremely tedious, and kudos to those who do it so incredibly well. So I had given it 4.5 years precisely, 2014 to 18. So when that happened, I mean, when this offer came, I was like, I'm tired. Yeah. I need a break. 4.5 years is long, and managing so many people. I mean, other than the 60 people, at one point in time, the max that we'd work with was, I think, some 700 people on set. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting lost in this sea of people. It was insane. So yeah, I was tired, genuinely tired.
So okay, but you couldn't have been that tired because shortly after you sold, you went and started a new company.
Yeah.
So why did you? How long was it between your sale to starting a new company, and you moved back to the US as well to do that?
Yes.
Why?
2018 was a very important year. So, again, with me, it is all about timing, by the way. So one thing that I've always done, and I'm just going back a little, is that I've always followed a bunch of these, research papers and forums and stuff where they are writing about advancements in tech. So the first founder with whom I had worked with, he told me everything. First thing was about the sales thing, that it's all about listening. And second thing was that timing is very important in life. No matter who you get in bed with, timing has to be perfect. Personal, professional life. If the timing is not right, it's not going to last. So make sure that you keep yourself abreast with what is happening around the world if you want to be an entrepreneur in the long run. And I'll accept it. I don't think I can do anything else. I knew that the only thing I can do is be an entrepreneur. I might fail a million times. I might be hated by a million people. It's okay. But I knew that what was happening in the tech world. Now, yes, content is my first love, but I come from a tech background because I have an engineering degree and all of my friends are techies in some form or fashion. So I was keeping myself abreast with all the stuff that was going on, especially in the US, So if you remember 2017, I think it was, when IBM Watsons had come out.
Of course.
It was insane. People were like, okay, I want to see what my Twitter's emotion looks like. That was the first thing that a lot of people were doing. I also did it. I was like, I don't know if I have enough content on my Twitter, but let's see. So IBM Watson said that you have a very, negative and a very brutal kind of a mindset towards, opinions. You're extremely opinionated, judgmental, you're very negative sometimes. Like, okay. So when I was coming out of the first company and moving to the second one, before that, so me and my co-founder Raj, who is a school friend of mine, I've known him for a long time.
This is co-founder at Artage, right? Or in Story?
No, my co-founder from Installing onwards, yes, and even now we've built 2 companies together and now starting a third one. So he and I go back a long way. So we'd always kept in touch, and he was getting out of Microsoft, and he just sold his first company before that, and whatever. Like he had his own life things, and He'd just gotten married and all that. And he was like, yeah, I don't know what to do next. Do you have some plans? So I was like, dude, what's happening with this IBM Watson thing? Yeah, I'm just seeing Watsons everywhere. I'm now dreaming also IBM Watsons. And I was moving back to the US then. So, I was like, I want to do something with this Watsons thing. So Raj and I sat and brainstormed over a phone call. It was supposed to be a 30-minute phone call. It lasted for 5 hours. And we were like, okay, what are the possibilities? So after brainstorming and thinking it through, we were like, what if we can help all of these e-commerce companies? Because e-commerce was really big in India then. So I'm talking about India then, it was e-commerce. US, there were so many of these D2C brands, FMCG, retail companies. Are like, what is it that all of their marketing teams need? They need reviews, right? Great reviews. And they want to study those reviews. I mean, customer feedback. How do you make your customer love you, right? How do you sell a product with empathy, right? So I was like, how can we do something using a Watson-like platform to actually understand what your customers' reviews are and use that sentiment analysis to actually put a feedback loop to your marketing content. And, like that was the mindset that we had. So now Raj is like, I don't want to use Watson. I will create my own Watson. Back then we were like, okay, we're going to launch our own platform. We were in fact one of the first ones in the AI space, at least 2 Indians to, start something in the AI space. One of the first ones. So we partnered with Oxford University and a bunch of other partners that Oxford has, They were like, okay, because Oxford is like the big daddy of English, right? I mean, Oxford Dictionary is from there.
Of course.
So we were like, okay, this is natural language processing, NLP. So, and Raj, my co-founder, has a master's in NLP, by the way.
Like, are you guys synergistic that way? You're more in the business, sales, good market. He's engineer.
Yes, very, very complementary skill sets, very complementary. And, I'm the hyper one, he's the calm one. I'm brutal, he's very empathic. I mean, back then at least. Now both of us are empathic. Life's grounded me also. But, so it was a great match, great combination. This time I knew that, okay, if I have to build something in tech, I need a very, very strong tech co-founder. I can't do it myself, obviously. So we partnered with Oxford and we got a ton of data from them, and through their partners ended up getting almost 70 million plus data points. I mean, imagine like ChatGPT is based on, I don't know, 10 billion plus data points or whatever. And we were one of the first ones to start with just 70 million data points. And we had partnered with 7 of the best colleges in America. And we had a ton of data scrapers, right, who would just scrape Twitter, right, and get all of that data out. What is the review looking like on a particular brand, right, whatever it is. And data scraping had become a big thing. So there were a ton of agencies doing that. And India was cheap labor. So obviously we had the tech team in India, but the sales team and the marketing team in the US. So that is how we began.
Was Raj back in India managing that team? Or
he was shunting. Yeah, I mean, he was moving between the two, but primarily in India.
And why did you move back from India to the US in the first? Like, what made you decide to move back to the US? Like, you had all these connections in India. You obviously knew all these family offices. They probably loved you because you helped get a great return in a fairly short period of time. Why say you're going to come back to the US?
So, because this was B2B, right? Obviously, the ticket sizes are much larger in the US. Can't help it, right? So you have to be where your customers are. So, I mean, I have always believed in that the CEO needs to be where.
I'm going to start this company, have to be back in the US. So you and Raj start the company. You go immediately and raise money from VCs. And I know you raised like a total of 200 million for the company. So it's a lot of money. What sort of, give us the key highlights. You raised 200 million. How many people how big did the company grow? You obviously had a lot of revenue to raise that amount of money. And then what happened to the company as well? I know you left after about 5 years. But.
Yeah. So, yes, we raised a ton of money because we had that kind of, I mean, it all happened like pre-COVID and during COVID pretty much when, the market was different. There was a lot of access to capital back then. I think it was much easier then than it is now, unfortunately, because of AI. But I think we were in the right place at the right time, selling the right product, like really had a lot of traction, 50 million in ARR and stuff we, achieved. And obviously all the B2B enterprise connections. I mean, we were in some form or fashion, like we had white labeled our products. We partnered with every possible agency. I think we had I think 300 plus partners in the US, 300 plus partners, and they are the ones who actually helped us sell, because I'd understood those things, that how to grow. I mean, when you've been building startups for like 8 years and you're in your ninth year now, so by then that, okay, who to partner with, who are the people and stuff.
How did you get them to partner? I mean, to the one point we made earlier, I actually don't really think partners are usually a good way to go to market, because they're never going to sell your product as well as you will, right? As you said earlier too. Why were partners good in this case, and how did you find the right ones to train them?
Yeah, this is a great question. So we had partnered with agencies, and the reason we did that, we actually learned this 6 months after trying to do it ourselves. Why? Because a bunch of the Fortune companies, right? Most of them, what they do is not these are, if you're a Fortune company, you are spending, let's say, $50 to $100 million on marketing per annum. I mean, obviously you have different set of products, multiple spin-offs, and I'm talking about companies like Unilever, Procter and Gamble, like the big ones, the really big ones. So, or Kimberly Clark, we had a very, very big partnership with them. So, I mean, we were like, how are you guys working? And, all of these guys told us one thing, that they have some 20 to 30 agency partnerships. Someone's doing the content, someone's shooting the content, someone's managing their socials, someone's doing the analytics and whatever, like bunch of things. So they were like, why don't you partner with them? Because, and we will push your product to them and we'll tell them that you have to use it. So instead of directly selling to the brands, go via the agencies, because if these people like you, we don't have any choice but to anyway get it done. And, so that was something that we learned the hard way. It wasn't easy because these are the people who are using Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever to give those ratings, to gauge how the ratings are and all of that. So that is the reason we had to end up partnering with 300 plus partnerships. And that's one reason why I love New York, because half of those agencies are in New York.
Right. You can just go meet them in person and go right in and get done. It's okay. So you partner with all them, you go raise the money. What, and then 5 years in, like you sell and you get burnt out. I know there's a bunch of personal things that happen, but like, how many you're 200 million raised? How many people on the team in the end?
2,000 plus.
2,000 people on the team. It's a big company. It's a lot of people, and you're the founder and CEO. So you're running that. So any key tips and tricks? I mean,
Yes.
How did you delegate, build a team, hire properly? What sort of culture did you set? Like, what would you say? Like, people's asked, what was the culture of InStoried? What would people say?
I'm a very hands-on person. Back in the day, I've made my mistakes. I completely agree. Things that I wouldn't do now. I was a control freak. I'll accept it. I was like, product discussion, I'm in. Funding discussion, obviously I'm in. Hiring discussion, yes, I'm in. And then anything, marketing, I'm in. Sales, I'm in. I had stressed myself out so much that I eventually ended up suffering a cardiac arrest. It was like, my body was like, dude, what the fuck? Give me a break. And that's when I had to pull myself out. But I was a control freak. I totally was. And even I was learning, I mean, when you have so much capital raised, when you have like 500 plus customers, you wake up and you see 1,000 lines of, like 1,000 messages on your phone. They're like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Like, why am I even sleeping? I mean, it felt like, why do I just have 24 hours in a day?
Yeah.
I mean, at 30, 31, you don't really know how to navigate stress. I would accept it. I didn't know how to navigate stress. I didn't know it. I was skipping meals. I was doing all that because I was like, I need to get this done today. I've committed. That's it. I could have done things better, and I'll accept it completely.
What would you have done better? Like, one of the questions I like to ask at the end, but we'll ask maybe now, what advice would you have given yourself now that you, in hindsight, what advice would you have given yourself to do differently? Because of course you do have to work really hard to make a successful business. Like, you do have to be all in. So like, what's the trade-off, or what do you need to do?
consistent growth is important.
Okay.
But for me, it was always the hockey stick growth, back then at least.
Okay.
I remember, I'm just going back a little bit. I remember we'd launched a new feature and we'd put it up on Product Hunt, and that whole week, I was like, we have to be product of the day every day. Do whatever it takes. And the number of calls that I made, guys, go up vote, guys, go do this. The number of calls, I was going insane. And how much I had yelled on my head of sales, on my head of partnerships. I was yelling. I was like, I don't care. I need this, so I need this. Do whatever the fuck you have to do. I was brutal that way, And I think maybe that is the reason my investors also loved me, because they were like, fuck, she's brutal. She's going to get shit done.
Kind of what you want in a founder. You want someone who's going to be a little...
Yeah, that is the typical Silicon Valley, thinking, right? But then, I really wish I wasn't that brutal, because it really took a toll on my health. And I might have bruised, I have, not might, I have bruised so many egos. Like some of those people, I'm sure they hate me. They would have cursed me so much, which is okay. But when I see people like Melanie Perkins from Canva, let's say, or, Whitney Wolf from Bumble, far more sustained, far more understated and subtle.
Are they though? Like, do you know that? It seems obviously their public persona is that way, but I'm guessing your public persona, when you talk, when you're at Inspired, you would say, oh my God, Sharmin has like this great persona. She's wonderful. Like no one knows what's neither you or I know what's happening with Melanie inside in their companies. They might be very brutal.
True. I'm sure, probably, but publicly it just seems that they're very calm. But I might have yelled at people in front of, I have done that in front of others, and I remember one of my investors in the Bay Area was like, oh my God, she doesn't care about what timing, what situation, who's there in the room. If she has to make a point, she'd make a point. I was fucking brutal. I mean it.
But once again, like I agree, like to achieve, but like for your health, that wasn't good. And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But
burnout, yeah.
From an entrepreneurial perspective, you kind of, I want to invest in founders who are willing to go all in. And this is the only thing they're focused on. You don't want them to get a cardiac arrest. Like you don't want them to die. Like that's obviously terrible. But I do want people who are going to put it all on the line. So how do you, what's that balance? Like what would be your advice to yourself to still achieve great outcomes?
This is a very good question, because this is something that the 1 year that was whole of 2022 up until some part of 2023, this is what I was doing. Is like, could I have done this better to avoid my health situation that happened? And I wasn't the only one. There were like dozen other people going through the same burnout and stuff, and mental health and clinical depression and all that. And in fact, very unfortunate story, two of my very good peers, and I'm not saying people who've just raised 100, 150K, I'm talking about people who've raised 50, 60 million. Two of them committed suicide, because of the pressure, because depression, all of that. I survived, but, so unfortunate. And it's a real problem. It's a real problem with us entrepreneurs.
Not to downplay that. Do you think some of that had to do with was it more because they were entrepreneurs and the stress of that, or also potentially because of COVID as well, right? COVID messes everyone's mind.
So yes, it's a combination of all of that. Yes, I think 2021 and 2022 were very difficult. Like COVID second wave and then post-COVID, very difficult. Obviously, because you're locked down. And in India, 5 million people died during COVID, and we were in a lockdown for the longest time, one of the countries that had, other than China, of course. So, it was tough. It was very, very tough. And having that, like, there is no physical contact with anyone, you're not meeting. And most of the entrepreneurs, they don't live with their moms and dads. They live alone, right? Because they need that whole space to create stuff. So yeah, the loneliness, the depression, everything kicked in, of course. But I think one very important thing, and it actually is a major question for our educational systems, is that no one really teaches us how to navigate stress, how to manage stress. And that's a very big problem.
So on that note, what would you have done differently? What's your advice? How would you manage the stress differently? What would you have done differently while still attempting to achieve great outcomes?
First is that I would have had a full-time therapist for sure. Now I do. I talk to her every week, but yeah, I wish I had one back then. And I wouldn't be a control freak for sure. I would trust people and I would be like, okay, go do it. Go do it. Just figure it out yourself.
Which, by the way, is sort of funny because if you go back to your story, right, your first job, the company you worked at, you said the reason they were so successful is they just said, we trust you, go do it.
The irony of my life. Yes. Yeah. But then, the reason why the controlling thing happened in my mind is because I went all in. Like initially, obviously, you've invested all of your own money, right? So there's that stress at the back of your mind. Oh my God, I have to pay bills, I have to pay so many, employees. Like all of those things were also kicking in. And yeah, somewhere I think I failed at managing my own stress and keeping myself calm for sure. you know so that part of my personality had to be sort of sorted through therapy. But yeah, for me, the thing is that if I have taken someone's money and I'm answerable to them, company works or not, but I need to make sure that I do justice, because it's not the first company, right? I'm going to keep building companies. I'm going to go back to those people again, obviously, right? So that relationship is something that I cannot ruin at any cost. So I was so crazy on deadlines. I was like, I've committed. I've told them we're going to get this many customers in the next 3 months. I have to do it, whatever happens. So yeah, that I think took a toll on me.
Okay. So that took a toll. Let's finish really quickly the story. So you sold InStory. You had an exit.
I had an exit.
Or you left and you got bought out.
I got bought out because I collapsed multiple times. So I didn't have a choice.
Did the board tell you? You're a CEO. You probably had more equity.
But it was like, I actually told the board that I can't continue, and the problem was that if I was taking an exit, my co-founder, who's my school friend, I knew that he would also take an exit. That was a challenge for a lot of people on the board, that no, we want him to stay. So yeah, but didn't have a choice.
So you both left.
Yeah. I left, and then 6 months later, he also did.
Let's talk about some of the more personal side of things, and then the book you wrote, right? So it's Bitch Stop Please, right? Is the name of the book that's coming out. Did you write that as almost like a novel, a story to yourself, like telling yourself to stop? Was that what it's about? Like, what is the focus of the book? Why did you write it? What is the thesis you're trying to tell people about?
So, actually last year, I wrote this book in just 3 months, by the way. In just 3 months. I was going through a very tough time in my personal life. So I was in depression. So, I had been to Peru actually to see one of my friends. And I was just telling her that, hey, you know what? Third company in the process of getting acquired and stuff. And did you know I have a newsletter which goes to 70,000 people around the country, and this is what I'm doing. Oh, and I'm starting a podcast also. Oh, and I'm planning to write my third book, and blah, 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 whatever, And this friend of mine, she's meeting me after 2 years, and she's like, bitch, stop, please. Let me digest one thing first. What were you saying? Selling your third company? What? And then what? So I was like, that is going to be the name of my book. Because the book is on entrepreneurship, and it talks about how do you go from idea to exit, essentially. Chaos to clarity, the whole journey that you go from, right? So, when she said that name, because we were in the process of figuring out what name do we even put. So I was like, you're the first person that I've told you literally in my friend circle about this. And the first reaction was this. So this is going to be the name of my book. Just how,
Have you figured out how to stop, or you don't think, do you think you can stop? Because you just sold, as we just recently announced on this podcast for the first time, you sold your third company and are already probably thinking about the next one. Like, can you actually stop? Like, can you take your own advice?
Seriously, that's so ironic, right? I didn't think of it like that. Yes. That's a good point, Adam. So actually, honestly speaking, the last 8 months, I haven't done anything, yes, I have been sort of involved here and there, angel invested in a bunch of companies and mentored some companies. The acquisition thing was going on for a while, yes, but it just got finalized now. So, I wasn't doing much except maybe talking to people, like how I got in touch with you through PEF, right? So, I joined PEF in February, and then I've just been like talking to people, getting to know them. There's that thing in me which I think I have a lot of FOMO. Shit, I accept it. I have a lot of FOMO. There's so much happening in the AI space. So many people are doing such wonderful things, and I get to see them, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to be back in the playground, starting from scratch. I have a lot of FOMO. I can't help it. So, but still very early. I don't have any clarity of what I want to do. I'm still figuring it out.
When you think about FOMO, though, I mean, that probably drives a lot of people, but also sort of the maturity that you've had throughout your career. How do you play that out to be when you think through your next thing you're going to start? Like, what are key lessons? If you break down, okay, for my next company, what's it going to be? Like, timing wise, how do you figure out the right timing, the right sort of product, the right people you want to bring on board? Are there key things that come to mind when you're like, this is what I will do differently or right for this next one?
For sure. I have done I've given this a lot of thought. First thing is that, I'm not going to build a product and then wait for it to sell. No. I'm going to sell the idea for sure.
Just sell it, be like, are people willing to buy it?
Yes. Yes, I'll have the same co-founder because I've had him for the last, yes, I think I'm really blessed, really blessed. Like Raj and I are always, we're like the professional couple. Yes. So, but before I get him onboarded, so I have a newsletter which goes to 70,000 people. I feature a lot of exciting startups and, startups that I'm talking to or investing in or mentoring or whatever, and talk about some of the recent stuff that's going on. My opinion, I'm extremely opinionated, by the way, and, sometimes even brutal, and talk about whatever I think about a certain problem. And so I share all of that content. So this time with this new company, I first want to get it validated by those people. So, get a landing page, obviously, get these, get my distribution, because I think distribution is power, extreme power, right? So I want to completely, first make sure that I'm able to get their validation, their approval, and sell the idea even before. In fact, I want to raise money on just an idea this time. I've never done that before. Always had a product. This time, I want to make sure that, all the learnings that I've had from the previous time. And of course, many of the employees are going to be the same. I know that for sure, because they keep asking me, are you building something new? And I'm like, yes, in the works. And I'm figuring it out. But this company, I don't just want to build another Me Too product. Like, I don't want to launch another AI SDR. There are some companies that are doing really well, so please go do it. I don't want to be competing with you guys. I want to do something which can add some real impact. Something that can really, really impact the lives of entrepreneurs, my community, essentially, right? Entrepreneurs. And so I have a few ideas. I mean, of course, there'll be that little agentic orchestration on top. We'll have to figure that out. But something on those lines.
Outside of the idea, are there any other key lessons sort of around like hiring, culture, you as a founder within maybe delegate more? What else would you do differently?
Yeah. So.
And handle work-life balance or work-life unity as well.
Yeah. Yes. So, I think I'm far more empathic now, for sure. And this came as a very tough learning with my last company also. I mean, one thing that I've understood now is that, yes, AI is taking over and everything, but there is no dearth of opportunities for the good people out there, So if you want to onboard those good people, you have to be really nice to them. You can't be brutal anymore, because if you're brutal, they'll leave you. I mean, what I've learned is that I need my team more than the team needs me.
Yeah.
So I have to be nice. I have to be empathic. I have to get things done in a calm and composed way. And they need their space. Saturday, Sunday, they need their time off. They have their dates. They have their family time that they need also. And I have to respect that. So this is
it's like, are you still going to set aggressive targets and focus things? Like,
not super aggressive, but ones that are achievable. I think once you've done 3 companies and one before that where I worked, 4 companies together and 15 years of work experience of just working in startups, I think now I know how to motivate people to get things done. So, I mean, targets, I wouldn't really call them super aggressive, but I would call them achievable targets, because I think now you cannot be selling a bullshit idea anymore and raising money. Now is the time where people are not investing in ideas anymore. They're investing in numbers, right? You have to show the proof that, okay, look, my customer needs this, right? So it has to be achievable. It has to be real business happening. So when that happens, when I get to that, that is when I'd be like, okay, now that we've gone 0 to 1, 1 to 10 is going to be that hockey stick growth. That is where we are like, okay, how do we scale, get the right partners on board, do all the networking? Here's my LinkedIn, go play with it. So 1 to 10 should be crazy, but I think 0 to 1, I want to keep it achievable.
I love that. So what about work-life balance quickly? What will you do differently to try to have a healthier balance? And do you have any hobbies?
Yes, a lot of them. I love reading. And I'm reading this book right now. It's right here. You can see exactly what to say. It's amazing. This is like the one sales book that everyone should have.
I haven't read that down. Exactly what to say.
It's have you read it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you should. It's incredible. Just 130 pages about the best. I mean, no one can mess with you after this. So, I love reading. I love doing yoga. I do that a lot. I do yoga, I meditate, and I do my 10,000 steps every day without fail.
Very healthy.
So those things are the ones. I mean, I used to not do them earlier, but now I've genuinely added these things into my life. No, I have to do this. I have to do it every day. I get my 8 hours of sleep. Otherwise, I can't function. I'm 36 and getting old. So, yeah. So, I'm like, no, I have to do this. And, I mean, a close circle of friends, smart people, some really smart, emotionally intelligent people with whom you can have those great conversations. I think I have 5, 6 of those. It's just 5, 6 people, but they'll be there for me whenever I need them.
That's all you need in life.
So,
I mean, it's always good to have more, but always need. So when you think back to sort of a single piece of advice, if you give yourself a single piece of advice to have entrepreneurial excellence or success, what would that look like? One piece of advice. Break it all down into one thing.
I did mention this earlier, but I'll say it now. A very big mistake that I had made very early on in my career was trust the wrong person. One of my co-founders a long time ago ran away with the code and completely abandoned me.
Wait, you didn't even tell us that. Well, what company was that?
Yeah, it was actually when we were building the MVP for InStoried. Wow. I mean, initially when I had some idea, before Raj came in, actually, very, very early stage, like nothing. It was, I mean, not even an alpha, like alpha -10 or something. Yeah. So that actually, because I'd lined up some investors and I committed that I'll show this. So, I couldn't show it. I totally forgot to mention this earlier. I'm sorry. But yeah, trusting the wrong people. So, now I just want to, but I'm sure this is something that happens.
But how do you learn to trust? So I'm going to go deeper. How do you know to trust the right person?
You don't know initially, but I think going through references and, sort of doing a little more diligence, maybe. I'm very gun driven. So if I like a person, I'm like, okay, fine, I want to invest in you. I don't really think too much about who they are, where they come from or whatever, because I got that kind of exposure myself. People trusted me very early on with just what I was talking about. So I tend to not do too much of a diligence respect to, working with a lot of people. I think I should do a little more of that.
Okay. So your advice is do more diligence.
Yeah.
So you can trust a bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Sharmin, how can folks get in touch with you if they want to learn more, sign up for your newsletter, read your book that's going to be out in a month? What are the best ways to find you?
I mean, you can just go to my website, sharminali.com, or message me on my LinkedIn. I'm extremely active on LinkedIn. And I never ghost Entrepreneurial, by the way. Never. I always respond to it. So yeah, it's just very easy to stay in touch with them.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Time is precious. So thank you for spending time with me and my audience. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.